Sebastian Deisler, Germany. Start with the one that isn't talked about enough, because Sebastian Deisler's story isn't about a lack of talent or a lack of effort. It is about what happens when a football federation decides a young man is the answer to an entire nation's prayers, and nobody thinks to ask if he is ready for that. In the early 2000s, German football was in crisis. Their national team had declined badly. The system needed rebuilding. And into that vacuum stepped Deisler, technically brilliant, creative, intelligent, capable of things that German footballers simply were not supposed to be able to do. Former Borussia Mönchengladbach boss Friedel Rausch famously said of him, "At some point, he will be mentioned in the same breath as Walter, Seeler, and Beckenbauer." The pressure that statement created, multiplied across an entire country's media, was enormous. Deisler was marketed as the savior of German football before he had played 20 senior games. The injuries came. 3 serious knee surgeries in rapid succession. And then, in 2003, Bayern Munich announced he had been admitted to a psychiatric clinic for treatment of severe depression. He came back. He had another injury. He came back again. He retired in 2007 at the age of 27, telling the German press he simply could not continue. He had won nothing significant at club level. His international career had been interrupted so frequently it never found continuity. His name is now only used in cautionary tales about putting too much pressure on young players. The gifted attacker was touted as the savior of German football, but ultimately had to be saved himself. Freddy Adu, USA. The most famous name on this list in terms of the gap between the hype and the reality. In 2004, at age 14, Freddy Adu became the youngest American to play professional sports in any league in 100 years. He was hailed as the next Pelé, held a $1 million sponsorship with Nike, and ESPN said he had greater commercial potential than a certain LeBron James. Pelé himself was asked about Adu and compared him to Mozart. At 16, Adu faced a young Lionel Messi in the FIFA World Youth Championships and was, remarkably, considered by some to be the better prospect of the two. The hype consumed him. Adu later said, "Somebody put the next Pelé out there, and it became a thing. You set ridiculous expectations for a young player, and if he doesn't reach that, it's literally impossible. Because Pelé is Pelé. You're basically just setting them up to fail." His career became a decade-long journey through MLS, Benfica, Monaco, Philadelphia Union, Brazil, Serbia, Finland's 4th division. He never established himself at any club for more than a season. He played 15 goals in 98 games in the decade after leaving DC United. In a rare moment of honesty, Adu eventually said, "Everything that hurt my career, I brought on myself because I didn't dedicate enough time to it." He now coaches youth players near Baltimore, driving nearly an hour each way to sessions twice a week. He is 35. The kid who was supposed to be better than Messi is teaching children how to trap a football in a suburb of Maryland. Bojan Krkić, Spain/Barcelona. A story so painful, it was made into a documentary. Bojan Krkić scored over 900 goals in Barcelona's youth system. On September 16, 2007, at 17 years and 19 days old, he made his official debut for Barcelona, breaking the record previously held by Lionel Messi as the club's youngest La Liga player. 3 days later, he made his Champions League debut, also as the club's youngest ever. The next Messi comparisons were immediate and overwhelming. His emergence into the elite was not easy. Expectations were very high. He didn't know how to manage the pressure, and any comments he received, he saw the negative, not the positive. He had anxiety attacks and took pills to alleviate the symptoms. He couldn't go out. He spent 4 seasons at Barcelona. Good seasons, 41 goals, but under Pep Guardiola's great side, with Messi ascending to a level nobody could match, there was no room. He asked to play 3 minutes of the 2011 Champions League final. He wasn't given them. He left Barcelona broken. What followed was a nomadic 12 years. Roma, Milan, Ajax, Stoke City, Mainz, Alaves, Montreal, Japan. He retired at 32. At his retirement ceremony at Camp Nou, he said, "I have been away from home for 12 years. I feel fulfilled professionally. I am more excited about doing other things now than to keep playing football." He now works inside Barcelona's system, supporting their loanees and young players. Having experienced the worst of what elite football does to a teenager, he is uniquely qualified for the role. Michael Owen, England, the most decorated player on this list, and the one whose story best illustrates what too good too young actually costs a body. At 18, Owen scored that goal against Argentina at the 1998 World Cup. You know the one. The run from the halfway line, the burst of pace that nobody could match, the finish. He won the Ballon d'Or in 2001 at 21. He scored a hat trick in England's 5-1 win over Germany. A small but technical striker blessed with blistering pace, Owen broke onto the world stage at 18 and went on to win the Ballon d'Or in 2001. The problem was that pace. It was the thing that made him extraordinary, and it was built on a physical foundation that couldn't sustain the relentless pressure of top-level football starting at 16. The hamstring injuries began at Liverpool and never truly stopped. By the time he signed for Real Madrid at 24, the explosive pace that had defined him was already compromised. At Real Madrid, he struggled with repeated hamstring injuries, and when he finally began playing regularly again, found his once rapid pace had all but gone. Manchester United offered an escape route in 2009, but Owen struggled to break into the starting lineup. He ended his career on the Stoke bench, retiring at 33. He won the Ballon d'Or. He is one of England's greatest ever goal scorers, and he retired at 33, having spent the previous decade managing a body that had been pushed too hard, too early. The most gifted England striker of his generation never played a complete season at a top club after the age of 25. Adriano, Brazil. This one ends differently from all the others, because the damage done to Adriano was not caused by football, or pressure, or the media. It was caused by grief. Adriano was just 17 when he broke into the Flamengo first team, and so impressive were his initial performances that Inter Milan paid 7 million euros for the striking sensation just over a year later. After impressive loan spells at Fiorentina and Parma, it appeared that Adriano would live up to his billing as Ronaldo's heir for both club and country. By 2004, he was one of the 3 best strikers in the world. Physically, he was unlike anything European football had seen. Power, technique, and a left foot that could generate force that made goalkeepers flinch. He won the Copa America. He won the Confederations Cup. He was about to become everything. And then his father died. The Emperor's career went off the rails due to his battles with depression and alcoholism following the death of his father in 2004. He returned to Brazil without telling Inter. He disappeared for weeks at a time. He gained weight. He drank. He scored goals when he played, but played less and less. The club tried. His teammates tried. Nothing worked. By 26, he was no longer a top-level player. By 30, his career was over in any meaningful sense. He drifted through clubs in Brazil's lower leagues, in Rome, at Miami, until eventually the game simply let him go. He never won a major club trophy. He never reached a Champions League final. The greatest South American striker of his generation, the one who should have been Ronaldo's true heir, was broken by grief at 23 years old and never fully rebuilt. Football gave him the stage too early and the tragedy too soon. The combination was unsurvivable. Subscribe for more stories like this.